Hello, Redeemer. Welcome to Mr. Craig Prentice with his very distinguished beard. Yes, good. Craig leads a church in Ramsgate.
That's right.
Ramsgate, down in Kent, where I was based for 15 years before we came here. Not Ramsgate, but in Kent, although there's nothing wrong with Ramsgate. Craig planted out X years ago, so I'm just going to ask him to tell us a little bit about what that was like and some top tips for us as a fledgling group, and then how we can pray for them. So, Craig, tell us a little bit about your story, first of all.
So we planted 5 years ago. In January was our 5th anniversary. We planted a bit differently. I was leading a Christian children's charity that was on a community estate in the top end of Ramsgate, quite a tough part of the world. We were doing various things as Christians to help those who were in some sort of need. So working with parents, young people. We ran a preschool counselling service. Wow. A few bits in the schools as well to try and support vulnerable kids. But increasingly we found as a group, and me personally, that people didn't just need the good deeds of Christians, but they needed the gospel.
Great.
And so we planted with a real desire, not just to show the love of God, but to tell people the radical good news of who Jesus is, what he's done.
Amazing.
And that's the root of seeing transformation in the hearts of individuals that then spills over into families and into communities.
It's such a great story that the way you're known and the way you started was serving the community.
Yeah.
And then, obviously the church should be doing that, and by God's grace we will. So, for us as a fledgling group, just bedding into the culture, any top tips? What would you say to us from what you've learned?
Yeah, good. It's the right thing to say, but it's also the truth that you've got to say gospel-centred. So, the gospel is the power of God for the salvation of the lost. It is the message that you give out in word and deed, but it's also the power to keep the church centred on God's love and purposes. So keep preaching the gospel, keep celebrating communion. We do it every week, just to keep remembering who Jesus is, what he's done. Keeps us humble, keeps us teachable, keeps us dependent on the lordship of Christ, but also gives incredible strength to remember that we're serving a risen Lord who's building his church. So remaining gospel-centred, letting the gospel influence every programme, every relationship, everything that you start. Where's the gospel intention of that in word and deed? Enjoy the gospel is one of the things that we'd say. If you don't enjoy it as a church, as a leadership, then who you've got around you really, pal. But then
that's so good.
It's good news. It's good news for the church, and that is fuel to keep you going through those tough times. Right. Love who you've got, I suppose, is one thing. Don't always be looking at the bigger churches and what they seem to be doing right. Trust that you've got grace to do what you've got the people to do and the relationships that you've got. Then keep looking at the early church. That'd be the other thing I'd say.
Very good.
There's a lot more in common with church plants when you read Paul's letters to his church, to the churches he's planted, than there is with some of the mega churches that we aspire to be like.
That's very good.
So reading the New Testament suddenly becomes far more relevant to smaller church plants, in my opinion.
Brilliant. Sound advice. Get in the gospel, enjoy it, love who you have. And then the last one was just live in the Bible, particularly in the early church. So how can we pray for you? Just a couple of pointers for you guys.
So we're in this weird season at the moment where we're getting new people come into the church who we don't know. So these are either Christians or friends of people who've heard about it in the community, whereas before we'd always know them through a relationship, or so it's a different way of building relationships with people. So that's great fun. So we've had about 12 people start since September.
Brilliant.
And so that's a different way of building church, because before it was very organic and you'd have a story or a relationship with the person, but now you're starting.
So just how you can connect with them quickly, get them in and disciple them.
Yeah.
Great. Super. Final question is, how long did it take you to get this distinguished beard?
I've been working on it a while.
Great.
I'll
get some top tips. Craig, thanks a lot, mate, and hopefully we'll hear more from you.
God bless you guys. Yeah.